Welcome back to the PWC channel. Today we have another match for you, and it is a Hoenn League match between Keto and Ziad. Now I'm excited to cover a match by Ziad because I think I've never done a match from him so far, so this is going to be a first for me. And he has been a replacement in week 1, stepped in for Capidor and had a really good debut where he just beat KW Dog, a very good player, with 6-0, so that was impressive. And he's facing off with Keto, who had a really unlucky, unfortunate week 1 loss to Ujana, but he was able to avenge that loss on week 2 against Juno, so he is now 1-1. And the same goes for Ziad, by the way. He also lost his week 2 match against Ujana, who is dominating the league so far. And yeah, so one of them will be able to bounce back from their loss against Ujana here. Looking at the matchup, we see the Ursa Ring brought by Keto. Now that's interesting. That's something you don't see every day, because obviously Ursa Ring is not the highest tier Pokemon. Also he's got a Mudstale, Slowking, Diancie, Mega, Zeraora and a Noivern. Now Ziad pretty much brought his mostly his high tier stuff. He's got the Manaphy, which obviously does not get Tailglow anymore, but it's still a great pickup and a cool mon in my opinion. So I'm excited to see how he's gonna play it. Then he's got Garchomp, Vikavolt, which is a signature Sylveon, Registeel, and a Megalopony. Now, at first glance, I don't see that Keto deals very well with Megalopony. Pretty much the Slowking just gets U-turned on, and the Mudstale, well, Mudstale could be somewhat annoying because it's also a little bit uncomfortable for Ziad to deal with, just from my perspective here. But yeah, we'll see. The Manaphy is interesting. I wonder what it does here for Ziad. It could be a good check for the Mudstale probably. But yeah, I mean obviously Keto has the Zeraora, which is probably his biggest threat. So yeah, interesting. And he also leads with the Manaphy and gets the best possible lead matchup for him against the Mudstale. And Keto led with Mudstale, which makes sense in my eyes, because as I said, I think it's pretty annoying to deal with for many months on Ziad's team. So yeah, but obviously this demands a switch out here by Keto, probably into the Slowking, which would be the most sensible play, but we might see. Ooh, we see a prediction here with the Energy Ball by Ziad. That's interesting. Can't really tell much from that damage, honestly. Could be. I have no idea, honestly. Ooh, but yeah, so this Slowking is really weakened now. And yeah, just looking at it, Keto does not really switch well into a offensively attacking Manaphy. The Energy Ball pretty much only has one switch in, which is the Noivern, and obviously Noivern just gets one-shotted by a Nice Beam. So yeah, this is gonna demand some predictions by Keto over the course of this game probably. And yeah, so now that the Zeraora is in, obviously Ziad also has to switch out. The Vikavolt would be probably the switch of choice, I would assume. Don't think he would risk his Garchomp here, even though he might. Not sure. We might also here see a knockoff here as a safe mid-ground play by Keto. But yeah, we'll see about that. So yeah, I mean either the Garchomp or the Vikavolt, or even, I mean if it's a physically defensive Sylveon, it could probably also deal with a Zeraora. So yeah, it's got a couple of options here, which will tell us something about his set. Now just looking at the Garchomp, this Garchomp's looking very threatening as well, potentially. It would have to be either Scarf to be a good revenger against Keto's offense, because Keto's offense just gets really well revenged by it. Namely the Noivern, Zeraora and Diancie. Alright, so yeah, as I suspected, he's not gonna risk the Garchomp upon switch in, and Keto Also makes that prediction, anticipates the guard jump with the play rough. But yeah, as I said, I mean, Ziad had a couple of options here, and I also thought that Vikavolt was the most likely option here, because it really only gets hit by Blaze Kick from this Aurora, which Keto might carry, but this looks pretty physically defensive to me, and it's not gonna be a 2-hit KO. I mean, from this range it might be, but not from full, so Ziad could just roost here if he wanted to. He could also just click Energy Ball, honestly, because if he has it, because yeah, as I said, only really Noivern comes into that. Other option obviously would be, if he doesn't want to just roost for the safe play, he could also set up these sticky webs, because Keto's only defogger is the Noivern, and Keto's offense gets so annoyed by these webs. Just Zera Aura and Diancie, both of them. Oh, he just stays with this play rough. Now that's a strange play to me. This might be a trap. Maybe he thinks he can now... Huh, this is weird. Alright. Yeah, I mean, now he's forced to defog pretty much, which Ziad could, if he wanted to, pick up some momentum here, or he just decides to Volt Switch and probably goes into Manaphy, or Nopan even. Yeah, that also makes sense. Can just click the triple axle here, and its Slow King can't really come in. So yeah, this is funny, because each hit will boost the Mudsdale here. But he decides to click for the fake out instead. Would have loved to see a triple axle on Mudsdale with each hit boosting the defense one stage. That would have been funny. But yeah, as I said, the Manaphy can always deal with Mudsdale pretty well. Smackdown. Huh. That's interesting. Don't really get that, because, I mean, you're still not gonna do... I mean, yeah, it's neutral. Earthquake would be neutral against the Vikavolt, but it's not gonna do like insane amounts of damage. And now you've pretty much given the Manaphy a free switch in for the energy ball. And if you go into Noivern, then he can just switch up. Yeah, I mean, what's that gonna do? Now he can just Ice Beam. I mean, assuming that he's not Specs, which I don't think he is. Yeah. Now he could. Okay. So maybe he's choiced after all. Yeah, Keto decides to switch around to the Slow King, which is good for him, because now the Slow King has gotten back from the brink of death here. But yeah, the fact that Ziad switched out there makes me think that this might possibly be a Scarf Manaphy, which would be good to revenge Diancie, for example. Alright, I still have these notifications on as always. I'm sorry, guys. I'll just click Do Not Disturb here. Well, this is the first time that Sylveon hits the battlefield. Let's see what it has to offer. We also haven't seen the... Oh well, now the Slowking is back at like 40% or 45%. Yeah, still not able to switch into Manaphy. And all we've seen so far from it is the teleport. Oh, there we go. We see the Care Bear here. Now this Care Bear is very hard to switch into for Ziad. Let's see, he goes into Guard Jump on it. And we see the Burn Up Facade now. This hurts a lot. Yeah, this is annoying. This was a Rocky Helmet Guard Jump. Probably his backup plan to deal with the Zeraora. And he doesn't really want to lose his ground type here, because then the Zeraora can just spam its Plasma Fists. But if he loses it, it's not the end of the world, because that would just mean that he needs to take even better care of his Vikavolt, which is still at 100%. So yeah. Right, and we see the Mudsdale again, which would probably be an opportunity for Manaphy again. And each time Manaphy is in, you will hear the alarm bells by Keto. Oh wow, that was ballsy. Now Ziad decides to put up Stealth Rocks, And Keto does a Keto, makes a double switch, a prediction, which doesn't really do anything for him because he still has the Vikavolt to switch into. So yeah, now he just pretty much gave him the rocks. And yeah, we haven't seen Keto switch up moves so far on the Zero Aura, so that's something to keep in mind. Might still be Scarf. He has run that before. But yeah, this is gonna be Manaphy again, pretty sure. Ooh, I just noticed that the Choice Scarf on Manaphy was frisked by the Noivern, so yeah, it is what I suspected when he didn't change up moves on Noivern, that he might be Scarfed is now confirmed. And so this is the likely play here going into Manaphy. And then Keto is forced to make another guess. What's he gonna click? That's gonna be his game plan here against the Manaphy. And once... Oh, he decides to go into Registeel instead. Don't really understand that. That was a pretty free Manaphy in my opinion. Because this doesn't really pressure Keto that much in my opinion. He can probably just switch into Ursaring on this even. I think that wasn't the play. But I would be happy to find out that I'm wrong. Why did he not go into Manaphy? I'm not sure. Energy Ball kills from here. He doesn't get killed by the DNC if he makes a prediction with Ice Beam on the Noivern. But you would expect at this point probably had he gone into Manaphy, given the fact that this is mostly how these guessing games go. You guessed Noivern last time, he's probably not going to do it again, so we would probably switch into Slowking this time. And then you could just click the safe energy ball, and if he goes into Noivern, so be it. It's not the end of the world. Right, he goes into Mudsdale. Now this Mudsdale will be forced to rest at some point here. It's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably gonna be a, what's the anti-sleep berry called? Chesto berry, probably. And yeah, that's exactly what gets revealed here. And now the Mudsdale is back to full again. Don't really understand why Ziad didn't go into Manaphy here. It was a free opportunity to pressure Keto again, and he just gave it up. But at least the Mudsdale has now lost his. Ooh, Mudsdale has now lost its item. Well, he decides to toxic it and take over half damage on Registeel on a mon that still has rest. Is it really that much of a problem? I don't see it. I mean, yeah, it's annoying for the Lopunny. And the Lopunny does a lot of work, but it still gets outsped and probably one-shotted by Zeraora. But yeah, I mean, I see that once this Mudsdale is gone, Keto doesn't really switch into close combat anymore. It just doesn't. Especially with the Slowking being low. And even if it wasn't low, it switches into Stealth Rock, switches into close combat, then has to take the U-turn upon Ziad switching out. So that's always gonna be annoying. Yeah, but so far, turn 21, still both guys with all the mons. Looking like it might become a close match, but if I had to guess, I see Ziad as right now my internal probability estimator computer here would say it's probably like 55-45 Ziad right now, because Keto is so pressured by this Manaphy, which is why I don't really understand why Ziad didn't switch into it against the Diancie. Oh well. Now he has the opportunity to again. He's a little bit pressured now. He's possibly in range of the next EQ. If Keto decides to... Yeah, alright. So he decides to click Energy Ball again. And he lives with the Manaphy. Now this was a good turn for Ziad probably because the Manaphy... I mean, it's not gonna take a hit anymore. Oh, this is not heavy duty boots. No, this is pretty much forced to defog here. Wouldn't even be too surprised if he just stayed in and clicked energy ball again, because he likely can 2-hit KO this Noivern from here, and then Keto doesn't have a switch in again. Honestly, I probably would have stayed in here and clicked energy ball, um, just because that would have. But yeah, either way, he can't switch into the next energy ball, so that's safe. So yeah, whenever the Diancie, for example, comes back in, Ziad, after sacking him on if he has to, goes into Manaphy and picks up a kill with energy ball, pretty much. Not necessarily, because this Aurora would not be 2-hit KO'd likely, but it can only take one energy ball before being 2-hit KO'd. So yeah, there goes the Slowking again. Slowking will die to this next Hyper Voice, so he can't teleport here. Prof once asked if he wants me to join the commentary. It's a little bit too late for that, sorry. And yeah, so the Hyper Voice also looks really annoying now that I think of it. Yeah, he doesn't have a switch in anymore, as Keto doesn't. Yeah, I think his defense is pretty much shattered at this point. He's gonna lose this match probably, because I don't see something that really sweeps. I mean, the Diancie is annoying now that Registeel is weakened, but on the other hand, it also gets outsped by a Lopunny and Manaphy and just gets revenged. And yeah, this also taking huge damage on Zeraora. The switch into Slowking was not all that wise, as it looks to me. So this means that Zeraora also can't switch into an energy ball anymore. So yeah, this Manaphy, whenever Diancie's in, will get a kill. Oh, and now he predicts with the Blaze Kick. Alright, so he appears to be Choice Scarf at this point, I would say. Otherwise, I don't understand why he makes all these insane predictions. And this really, again, as I said earlier, it was one of the options to switch into Zeraora, this Sylveon. So if you're in against it, it's not like you're threatened to one-hit KO it or force a switch. So yeah, that's not really a safe point to make a prediction, in my opinion. But yeah, don't really know, honestly, if it would have changed anything. So yeah, now he's gonna get a kill. He goes into guard jump and sacks it probably. Yeah, that's exactly what he does. Oh, and now he takes... Ah, no, that was smart actually. Now he doesn't take the recoil damage. That was a good prediction. I mean, it was also the safe play against Sylveon, so yeah, whatever. But yeah, now he goes into Lopunny and picks up a kill with close combat. Because the Slowking likely can't switch into that from 50 something percent. He will just close combat and then U-turn out. Ah, he decides to click into fake out instead. This is not a play I'm a fan of, but yeah, this just means that Slowking probably lives this U-turn. No, he doesn't. So yeah, didn't really matter. And goes into Manaphy, forces out the Scarf Zeraora, which will probably go for Volt Switch if he has it, I would assume. At least that would make sense to me, but at this point I think it's mostly about keeping the score as low as possible for Keto. Unless Ziad makes a huge mistake here. Because yeah, whenever the Lopunny comes in against either Ursaring or Diancie, it just picks up a kill with close combat if he doesn't decide to click fake out all the time like he did so far. But yeah, you would assume so. Then the Scarf Zeraora can come in, but it would still not necessarily pick up a KO. We still have all these checks alive and at good health, like Vikavolt at 77 and Sylveon at 100. And yeah, so he doesn't have the necessary sacks. Ziad just has more of them, so it's pretty much at this point, I would say, about keeping the score as low as possible for Keto. This just looked like a rough matchup. The what Matsuo was pretty good. So beating it down with the Toxic for Ziad turned out to be a good idea because Keto kind of let it happen by weakening the Aegislash, but yeah, alright. So he locks himself into Plasma Fist. I'm pretty sure at this point that this is Scarf. It's not confirmed yet, but yeah, I would be too surprised if it wasn't. And he doesn't appear to have the Volt Switch, otherwise he would have gone for it here. Can also... Nah, I can't really put up the sticky web here because Diancie is the likely switch in at this point, which would make sense to me. And then it just depends how greedy... oh, this hasn't megaed yet. So yeah, putting out the sticky web makes sense because now Manaphy outspeeds everything and can just click surf. And probably pretty much... possibly not clean up, but at least get a kill when it comes in on Diancie. Ah, alright. So he has got the rock polish. Now, this means that he probably has to sack if this doesn't kill, which it doesn't. He now has to sack the Registeel and then just goes into Sylveon and picks up a kill with Hyper Voice because his Keto doesn't have a Hyper Voice switch in anymore as well. Now let's see him be Rock Polish, Rest, Sleep Talk, and what else? What else? I don't know. Moonblast and yeah, not really. Don't really see the threat here. Now Ziad can just sack the Registeel. It doesn't really do anything anymore. That's exactly what he does. Let's see. Registeel is a monster. It can't possibly live this Earth Power. Wow, damn it. 35%. Registeel is so bulky. Really good check to the Mega Diancie. And in comes the Sarah Aura, which, yeah, can probably get a kill with Blaze Kick here. If Ziad wants to be really greedy, he can probably also switch into Sylveon here. Especially if it's physically defensive. Can't really gauge the damage, but it might be, possibly, I would say. Because it doesn't really need special defensive investment to deal with Noivern. Yeah, I think Ziad is gonna try out and figure out a way to win this 5-0 probably. And Keto pretty much again plays the guessing game. He had to play the guessing game defensively against Manaphy, and now he has to play the guessing game offensively to figure out which of the several Zeraora checks Ziad will decide to switch in. I'm honestly not sure if Zeraora was the play here. It might be a good revenger with the Choice Scarf, because the thought might have been to catch off the... Nah, wait. Don't really see it, honestly. Interesting. Because obviously Lopunny is slower than Zeraora anyway, so you would even be able to revenge it without the Scarf. And he decides to go into Vikavolt, yeah, and he goes for the Blaze Kick. I figured that he might do that because that's his best option to get a kill, but Ziad can still prevent that by going to Sylveon now. Gets the burn, doesn't really matter at this point. If this doesn't kill the Ursaring, which doesn't matter because of the sticky webs, he's gonna be faster and he's just gonna two-shot it. Yeah, this is still gonna be killed, or yeah, I mean the burn kills it now. Which is a shame for Ziad because now none of his mons get the kill here. And even this crit is not able to do the job on the Sylveon. But he can now go into Lopunny, and fake out. This is a little bit risky, honestly. He's risking to get swept here if this doesn't kill. Nah, not really. He could just switch out and switch back in. So yeah, if this doesn't kill, it's gonna be a 4-0. But this would be the funniest backdoor sweep of a greedy player trying to preserve differential. But yeah, congrats to Ziad. He did it. He actually preserved the 5-0. That was well done. Well played by him. GG, guys. Keto also, I think, played well for the most part. He says in the chat he played so bad, but I mean, maybe the typical Keto stuff, a few unnecessary or not really, yeah, necessary predictions, but wouldn't really say that he played bad. That's just the game he plays, with against Manaphy. He didn't really have a switch in, so he was forced to guess, and the same goes for Sarah Aura. He had so many checks to it. Just looking at the team, at the 6 that Ziad brought, don't really know the entire matchup, but just from this team I don't really see why bringing Sarah Aura was the play. But yeah, GG, guys, that was a fun match, and with that being said, I will end this recording and you will hear me in some other video.